the moment we've been waiting for. Feel the right in the world of that for sure. Na 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 na. Got to get that feeling.
Hey loves, it's me, Sunshine. We have an amazing woman, an amazing goddess coming on tonight, Lynn Polizzi. Let's join. Woohoo! Hey, love.
Hello, ball of sunshine. How are you?
Yes. What's happening?
I just
Yay.
love being in your light, girl. You're just, honestly, when I see you come up on Facebook and you're like doing a video or something, you brighten my day. You really do.
Aw, thank you. That's the energy healer in me, right?
That's right. That's right.
Bread in the sunshine.
Bread in the sunshine.
Yes. So my love, tell us how you got started in spreading your sunshine.
Oh, Lordy. How did I get started? Well, ironically, Sunshine was my nickname from a young age. Multiple teachers would always call me Sunshine.
I love that.
I had to kind of live up to that.
You don't. You had to live up to it?
You're right. I didn't have to. But at the time, I think I thought I did. I don't know. I think I was born an eternal optimist. And no matter what I was going through in my life, I always had hope. There was one time I didn't, but I always had hope. And I always woke up happy. I'm just one of those people that wakes up not in a bad mood. And
I love that.
I want people just to feel the best they can in my presence.
Yes, that's awesome. So when did you start going into the whole spiritual world and doing what you're doing?
Well,
tell us what you do. Tell us what you do first.
I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've been one since 1995, and actually was a social worker. Then I hate to say it, but I was so poor, I couldn't stay as a social worker. So I had to go into different businesses that utilized my degree, but in a very unconventional way. So I sold drugs basically for some pharmaceutical companies, which really was so against me in every way. It was against my whole being.
Listen, you had to do what you had to do.
Had to do what you had to do. And I did finance for a while, and then I went back to social work after just kind of dabbling in marketing and sales, and then went back to social work. And then for me, I think I was always very spiritual since I was young. And we'll talk about this at some point, but the book I'm writing is actually called An Intuit's Life of Miraculous Coincidences.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it's a time, every chapter is a different miracle that has happened in my life. And you could say they're coincidences. That's why I call them miraculous coincidences. You can say whatever they are, whatever you want to interpret them as, but I really believe that I had a lot of divinity in my life, and a lot of people, a lot of energy and forces and, guides and whatever you want to call them energetically, but a lot of people protecting me. And I feel super, super blessed. But I think for me, it's a long evolution for me to get to where I am today. And I would say the bulk of my transformation is probably in the last 6-7 years. I had a massive health crisis. And it's usually what kind of does it, right? Like some big life event.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a month in the hospital, in a neurointensive, and then in a rehab with this very rare neurological condition that makes your body like twist up and contort, and they have to basically knock you out around the clock. And I laid in bed after that for about a year. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't stand up, in a wheelchair, walker, everything, you name it. So it was a rough year, but it was a necessary year.
Mm-hmm.
And I found my way like to Dawn Marie Delahunt, Angel Eye Dawn Marie, and she was like my first real spiritual connection. And she just opened my world up to so much. And Laura and Terry at the Long Island Healing Arts Center.
Yeah.
They were incredible. And I just found this world, and I'm so grateful. I mean, grateful for people like you and the friendships that I have. They're just so authentic and genuine. And I think most of us really want to truly help people, right? And help people heal and help people feel whole and just guide people with our wisdom that we've learned through our own tribulations and trials and tribulations.
We're here to nourish and inspire everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And to kind of hold people up when they can't hold themselves up.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful for the community too, because I went through hell myself, and it's a beautiful thing when you find your soul family.
that's right.
And you can be your complete authentic self, and have beautiful teachers and guides, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. We have a couple of comments already. Oh, so sweet.
Aw, thank you.
Yes.
Very beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
And I think he's right. I think that you can use past experiences to do one or two things. I mean, either destroy you or really create you. Like, how does a diamond get created, right? It's pressure on the coal. And, I think that the key is to, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I think for me is so important, I think for really everybody right now, is radical self-acceptance. Tara Brach has that book. It's called Radical Self-Acceptance. And it's only 3 hours on Audible, but I highly recommend it.
I read it. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You read it, right? There's actually, I'd love to read this by Rumi. She quotes this in the book. Can I read this for everybody?
Of course, yeah.
This is really part of it. This is part of the radical self-acceptance. It's called The Guest House. Have you ever heard this?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
I was sharing something you haven't heard yet.
I am the self-love queen, honey. So I
love it.
Heard it.
Gotta love Rumi. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know who Rumi is, he's a 13th century poet, Persian poet that was so, I mean, just imagine. So this was written in 1200 something.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable how much insight he had to the human condition that we're still experiencing today. People were feeling this, obviously, in the 1200s and the 13th century. And this man, I mean, just elucidates so many things that we all are struggling with today, and does it in such a poetic way. And he's so gentle and so guiding and so inspiring and so accepting.
And he says it in just like the perfect, simple,
right?
Oh my God, read it, love.
Okay,
there.
So The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi.
My lights just went flashed. I don't know if you saw it.
Did they?
But Spirit was going, yes.
Really? Yeah. Are you having bad weather there, or because it's like crazy here right now?
That's normal for me.
Wow.
I'm in my healing room, so. No, that's total. It's so beautiful, and treat each other with kindness.
With kindness.
It's a simple thing.
I think sometimes we can do that much better than we can treat ourselves with kindness, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's really saying in this, that the more we try to escape our emotions or escape our true self, right? Who we are at our essence and at our core, there's a big gap a lot of times between that and who we think we should be. And as a result of that, we do a lot of behaviors to escape the shame that we feel about ourselves, the insecurities that we feel about ourselves, the anger that we feel, all these different emotions, or the emotions that we're trying to avoid, like he talks about, right? So it's about honoring them, honoring the shadow parts of ourselves, which is so important. I almost don't like the shadow word anymore. I was thinking about that. I'm like, is it shadow or is it just human? Like the human parts of ourselves.
That's exactly what it is. It's the human part.
Right?
Yeah. And I always say you have to feel it to heal it.
And that is so true. And that's exactly what he's saying too. Yeah. You have to feel it to heal it. Yeah. And you have to let go of the shame. I think shame is one of the most toxic things that we feel. And I think it's the thing that probably trips us up the most.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and it starts with somebody shaming you.
That's right.
And then it embeds in your brain, and then you continue by shaming yourself.
That's exactly it. It's, you know, the parental voice, maybe for some of us, or a lot of times, sadly, because our parents were taught to shame, you know, and our parents were taught to,
of course,
and it just goes down the line. It's sadly, it's generational trauma that just keeps going down the line.
The cycle, yeah.
The cycle.
And we are here to break that cycle. If it's not our generation, we're here to inspire and nourish and heal the next generation, who will be producing the next generation, right?
That's right. And right now I don't think we're doing a great job at that. You know, I was looking today at Facebook, and this video came, you know, one of the reels, and it was a show. It was a newscaster, and he was talking about, they had a video of this woman having a complete and total nervous breakdown. He was calling her a Karen, and he was making differences about, you know, if she was a different race, it would have been handled a different way. But the whole video was about literally watching this woman have a complete meltdown. And even she was with her child and in a stroller, and she was on the floor, rolling on the floor, swinging at people, like her stress.
I wouldn't have even watched it.
It was so hard to watch, but I think the harder part was listening to him and this woman, their commentary on it, and how they called her a Karen, and it was drunk brunch day. And I'm like, no, that woman's clearly struggling and suffering.
Yeah.
And you're putting her on for the world to see. You're putting her on a news show, and you're calling her a Karen. Like,
And that's he just wants the attention. It's not even about her, it's about him. It's his ego,
That's it.
you know,
That's it.
you know, we
And we
should
become a
just
shaming society,
yeah.
Sunshine.
I don't even allow that on my Facebook feed. I don't watch the news. I don't my Facebook is just love, light, my friends
Yeah.
and puppies.
And happy.
Animals, I should say. This is a long one, Monica. It's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, love. And I was trying to understand the anger.
Oh,
Oh,
Monica.
yeah.
You know, what a beautiful moment that you were able to have that discussion though with your mom.
Yeah.
You know, use those moments. I don't know if she's older and she's in a situation where she may not be around much longer, but I always say to people, you know, use those moments to heal. You know, ask the questions, right?
Yeah.
Have the conversations that you need to have, and release all of that
Yeah. Because
heartache.
forgiving them is freedom for you
That's
because
right.
you're letting go of your anger, letting go of the suffering. And she was only doing the best that she could do because she was taught probably abuse herself. She was abused herself. So good for you, Monica. I'm proud of you.
And I think it's important for people to understand that you don't have to necessarily forgive, right? Like forgiveness, the precedent we set with forgiveness sometimes in the spiritual community or the religious community that you won't be whole unless you forgive is really unfair, and it really victimizes the person all over again. But you can release the emotional static that surrounds whatever happened. You can release emotional attachment or the bonds to whatever the incident was. And if you don't want to say that you want to forgive, you don't have to, but release the bondage that you're experiencing, because every time you think of the incident, you have all this visceral and physical response to it. So release that and release your cords and attachments. I tell people, like, cut the cords to whatever it may be, and let it go, and never feel that you have to say, I forgive you to be whole, because
Right.
that's unfair.
And it's part of your journey to make you who you are today.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
you picked your mother.
I know people don't understand that, you know. I mean, people, if you don't believe in past lives, but most of us in the spiritual community, we do believe that. And a lot of times, you know, they say that you're given a life, you're shown the view of what your life will be, and you pick it to learn certain lessons and to evolve in different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so true. It's so true. My mother was abusive too. I know I picked her. You know, but again, she was abused herself. So I just send her love. I haven't spoken to her since I was 16, but I send her love and light and, you know, wish her well.
You haven't spoken to her in that long, Sunshine?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is she still here?
She's still here.
Yeah.
She's just not well. So it's better for both of us, you know. She's a stranger now.
Yeah.
You know.
That's so hard though. You were so young.
Yeah, but it was my journey, and
That's
I'm grateful for it because I believe that, you know, what I do today to help people is a gift, obviously. And I had to go through that experience to help others.
And that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Aw, Sunshine. She's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I think you just learn from you by just your demeanor, even like just you always being happy and bubbly and like always smiling. You just uplift people just by just looking at you. And never mind just listening to you and your story.
Thank you, love. And you do the same thing. You know, you're such a beautiful light and you're such a helper too. So tell us more. Tell us more what you do, love.
I am, my designations now, I'm opening my practice up again. I moved from New York. I lived in New York my entire life, and we moved to Virginia a year ago. So I have decided, I took a year off.
Okay.
And I needed it. I needed to take a year off. I needed, the move, and a lot of stuff happened with COVID, and my husband got very sick. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take my time. And when an office space opens up, there was nothing available. And then everything kind of just fell into place. So my practice now is very different than what my practice was on Long Island. I was pretty much known as a couples therapist on Long Island, and that's rough work.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Let's say that again.
I said I have never tried that, a couples, so
well,
I commend you.
It is it's very rewarding work, and but it can be challenging, because if I can give anybody advice out there, please, 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 please hear this. Do not go to a couples therapist when there's so much damage. It's almost irreparable. And that's the problem. And that's what happens a lot. People go to couples therapy when there is so much damage and so much negative sentiment that there's been an affair, there's been massive breaches of trust, that it's almost impossible sometimes to get the relationship back on course and to have healing. Go throughout your relationship. Go even when things are good. Learn how to communicate better. You will only reap the benefits of that. And if I can recommend one book for everyone who's in a relationship and you want to better your relationship, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman.
Okay.
Highly recommend that. Really great book. So in my practice now, I've decided to do more of a spiritual kind of social work, spiritual kind of therapy, if you will. You can't really be overly religious, but I think because of the clinical parameters, but I'm going to do more trying to help people find their spiritual identity, do more work with mindfulness, meditation. I'm also certified in integrated mental health.
Okay.
So I believe in using first line, unless it's severe depression or some type of psychosis, then you need medication. But for me, as an integrated mental health specialist, I believe more in products like CBD. That's why I have Green Compass as a company I represent. I believe in using vitamins. I believe in using exercise and diet and anything you can possibly use that's holistic and doesn't put anything in your body that's, chemical or, just not really organic or good for you. And that's
my lights.
Your lights, see, they agree. Your lights agree.
They're like, yes, keep talking, Lynn.
That's what we need to do more of, right? With mental health, we need to look at other ways, because the SSRIs and the medications aren't working as great as they should be. And they're finding now with the SSRIs that there is a rebound that's happening when people actually go off of them. They're on them for a few years, which you really should try not to be. Try to be on them for like 6 months and try to get off of them.
Well, explain what the SSRI is.
Serotonin, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, Prozac, Zoloft, Lexapro, all those big guns, right? So to try to avoid doing medication first, because they're finding now that there's rebounding that's occurring, and meaning that once they get off of them, the depression comes back even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So always try to, if you can, do things holistically if that's possible.
I actually have experienced a lot of people committing suicide on those.
The first 3 days are critical, and I'll explain why people suicide, especially teenagers. The first 72 hours, your serotonin levels actually, so let's say you want to get your serotonin levels here, right?
Right.
If a depressed person, their serotonin is here. When you introduce Prozac or Zoloft and SSRI, before it goes up, it actually dips even lower. And that happens in the first 72 hours. So you already got an already depressed person
Right.
that isn't even close to baseline, and now they've dipped even further.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the suicidality is a big problem. So the first 3 days you have to really be very careful.
Yeah.
Especially with the teenagers, you have to be super careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in natural 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, it's so much better, and nourishing your mind, body, and soul with, like you said, the living lifestyle of what you put in your body, just not just, drugs, but, food is huge.
Food is a big, big, big one.
Yeah.
And there's a dual sword to food, because food, it not only creates obviously weight problems, but food is also a big problem they're finding now with gluten, especially gluten and sugar. Kids with any type of ADHD should never be on sugar, ever have sugar in their diet at all. But they're also finding now with gluten, there's been a ton of studies on this, that there was a psychiatric ward where they actually had patients who had active schizophrenia, and they put them all on gluten-free diets. And some of the patients actually decreased their medication like markedly, had no active psychosis, and some people even came off their medication. So what does that say to you about mental health and the neurotoxic effects of gluten?
It's amazing.
It really is. I mean, and they're finding now with a lot of mental health issues that it's inflammation.
Yeah.
And inflammation, and how is inflammation in your brain going to occur? It's going to occur through sugar, and it's going to occur through gluten. Those are the two main things.
I completely agree, love. I was 100 pounds overweight when I was in my depressive state, and I started reading about, lifestyle changing and removing things from my bad habits, and sugar was the first one. And the minute I stopped with sugar, everything just changed. My whole life.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
It's people don't understand. Like, I was looking at there was a GIF of a little baby getting an ice cream cone. It wasn't a GIF, maybe a little video. And it was literally, the baby must have been 1. And the mom is handing the baby an ice cream cone. The baby's like, I mean, what does that say about sugar? If a baby is like, you can see the baby's brain, like the neurons are like, that dopamine now is cascading, and all that addiction is being created.
Yeah.
Through sugar.
It's scary. And now I can't even have it. I actually had, I went to Connecticut this weekend, and we went to an ice cream place, and I ordered the dairy-free sorbet, not realizing how much sugar, and I literally passed out, literally from the sugar intake.
Yeah, the rush.
So it was an experience that I won't do again.
Yeah, sugar is a real big problem, and I mean, just look it up. There's the rat studies even. Rats would kill themselves to get sugar. They will literally put themselves through like the most horrific pain to be able to get sugar, and they feel that sugar is actually more addictive than heroin,
Yeah,
which
it
says a
is.
lot.
It
I mean,
is.
we're all, as a society, addicted to it. It's a big part of our existence, sadly. So yeah, I would, the sugar and the gluten and trying to eat as clean as possible, exercising. There's so many things, that you can do. So that is part of my
Yeah.
work.
And it's just changing habits, we can
Changing
all do
habits.
it. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Leslie Korn is the person that I got my certification from, and she talks about the rainbow diet, but how we have to, not when we take care of ourselves, it's not just about working out, or it's not just about eating well. Like,
Right.
she has this whole list of things that we need to work on to have balance in our lives and to be on an optimal level physically and mentally. And it includes spiritualism too,
Yes.
which I love,
Yes.
And
it's so true, because I removed TV from my life also. And, by doing that, I had so much extra time and so much extra energy. So I'm doing all these extra things, and that makes you, move your body and
That's right.
burn calories, and, you're not just sitting there watching the boob tube,
And we all do it, right? We
Yeah,
all do it. And no shame in doing it,
no, of course not.
but just being aware of it, right? And
Right.
how you can make positive changes, like you said, right? Just you remove TV from your life, so that gave you a better quality of life. So it's like looking at the things that you are doing that, like for me, it's social media is a time vampire for me.
Yes, yeah.
I start scrolling, and then next thing I know, I'm like, oh my God, like 2 hours have gone by. I'm like, I can't get those 2 hours back.
Right.
And that's part of it too. Like, how much, do you use social media? How much do you watch TV and all of that? And you don't have to get rid of it in its entirety if you don't want to, but you try to find a balance. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's so important. Sugar, not so much. There's a real hard line with sugar with a lot of people who are in the field, where they feel like you have the group that says moderation, and then you have the group, and the people who do the best are the people that stay away from it completely.
Yeah.
Because
it's like the drug, cold turkey.
The minute you start eating it again, you start craving it again.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
The minute you start eating it again. So, my practice now will be doing the integrated health stuff. It'll be doing more spiritual work, mindfulness work. And I'm also a certified hypnotherapist, so it'll be using, which I love using, I've used it with all my clients, is doing a lot of progressive relaxation, doing a lot of hypnosis for anxiety, depression, hypnosis for weight loss. We talked about this very briefly before, but I feel like for you, and maybe you can attest to this, but I feel like you lose the weight when you do the work. You lose
have
the
to
weight.
do the work. Yeah.
And it's the inner child work that
Yes!
I'm doing, right?
That's it, girl. That's it. You hit the nail on the head, because all our addictions, all our issues, all our, traumas is the inner child.
That's
So
right.
everything else is putting a Band-Aid on it.
That's
Every single thing. So if you get to the root of the problem, then you turn into sunshine.
Right. Have you had Kelly on your show?
Kelly's been on. Yeah, Kelly's been on. Yeah.
Recommends Healing the Fragmented Soul, right?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, and it's all about healing that inner child. And when you do that work, when you shed that weight, that emotional weight, I believe you also shed the physical weight.
The
There
voice.
it is. I know I have it on my desk too.
But I did my work on my own in 2019. So yeah, it's huge. It is huge. And that's why when you see me, I'm playing, because that child, that inner child is free, you know? She
Isn't
is,
that amazing? I mean, how liberating is that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
much.
I had one of those childhoods too. You know, I talked about it on Michael's. You know, part of my book is about that, you know, and the shame. And I was so bullied. I was, you know, the big, thick glasses, and I was the smelly kid, you know. I was like, I was a disaster. And I was brutally, brutally bullied and shamed, like beyond shamed. And then grew up in a very Catholic household where I remember like my grandmother would be like, don't ever look at the mirror at your body. Don't ever look at yourself naked. And they just, I remember walking by my mirror and kept seeing a glimpse of myself and being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, God. Oh my God. You know, like
Mhm.
modesty is next to godliness, all this nonsense we would be told. I mean, it just, and all of that for me, you know, it's so funny because I'm a therapist and you think I would have a handle on all of this. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I've been through therapy. I was in an eating disorder clinic for 5 weeks. I celebrated my 21st birthday there.
Wow.
And Donna, you were just getting to me, girl. It's so funny that she's
She's sunshine
talking
too.
about her. So all this stuff that I went through and all this therapy and all this education and all of my own, oh my God, I've had so much education clinically. It's not even funny, but I was 40 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I lost that over the last 7 months. And I do actually believe part of it was going to Donna Amber's
Retreat.
her
Yeah.
retreat for inner child healing. Like I just said to myself, I still carry around so much shame. And I knew a lot of it was manifesting in my health. I think a lot of those health crises I was having was a life of trauma as a child, like unbelievable amounts of trauma and abuse, emotional, physical, sexual.
Mhm.
And then I think a lot of it was just the parental shame that I was raised in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my own personal shame about not being, you know, the demure, petite. I'm 5'10" and I'm very vivacious and I'm very like, so I lived with a lot of shame that I wasn't like kind of blending in, and my body, my physical being, I always felt very shameful about, always feeling bigger than most, you know, women.
Mhm.
And I went to Donna's retreat, just went. Hi. Love you, Donna. And it was unbelievable. It was a group of women who just loved on each other, who accepted you exactly the way you are, like moles, cellulite, didn't matter, saggy boobs, whatever, however you wanted to present yourself. If you wanted to be without a bra, you could be without a bra.
Yeah. Free. Free.
It was
It's the
freeing.
whole thing is about being free and being who you are authentically and loving you exactly how you are.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And shedding
And
the
shedding the
shame
shit.
and the shit and
Yeah.
it really is shame. We carry it around. I can't say this enough. You know, it's so toxic in so many ways, but we live with so much of it. And you know, the internal voice. I highly recommend The Untethered Soul. He talks
Yes.
about
Oh
this,
my
right?
God. That's my favorite. Michael Singer. Yeah.
Oh my God. And the internal chatter. Like
Hmm.
really tune into that, you know, people who are listening right now, like tune into your internal chatter and what is it that you're saying to yourself on a
Yeah.
daily basis? it's probably not the nicest stuff. We're much nicer to other people than we are to ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like what you
It's
posted
a
today.
shame. Yeah.
About the sticker. What did you post about the sticker today?
Oh, you think I remember these things?
It was about having a sticker saying,
I'm
please
looking
love me, right? Please love me the way I am.
Remove the "I want you to like me"
I
sticker
want you to like me.
from your
That's it.
forehead and place it on the mirror where it belongs. Meaning, love yourself.
That's
Like
right.
yourself, right?
Forget about other people loving you.
Yeah.
It's about you loving you, because until you do, you're just going to keep projecting that out into the world, right?
Yeah.
When you don't love yourself, you're going to find a million different ways to prove how unlovable you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find a million different ways to affirm that theory and reaffirm that theory over and over and over again.
Yep. It's so true. So
That's what you do. Just put those lenses on, and I'm only going to see what is going to qualify this theory about me and how horrible I feel about myself.
yeah. And it's a practice. It's a practice. You're not going to love yourself, just by saying, these few words that we're saying. It's a practice. It took you all these years to learn how to hate yourself. It's going to take you a few to learn how to love yourself. And you are, amazing, and you're doing the best you could possibly do.
That's right.
And when you're notice yourself being unkind, be conscious about it and just erase that and start fresh and start speaking kindly. You go backwards, that's okay.
That's part of
Don't
being
beat yourself up about it, and just continue to the next minute, because every minute is a new minute, a new moment, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So the inner child healing work, I think, is so crucial. And look, I'm 56 years old and I'm a therapist, and I still had this work to do. I still had this bag of shame. I'm sorry, but it was a bag of shit. Like a giant bag of shame on my back. And I thought, I'd evolved past all of this, but I didn't. And I think in doing that workshop with Donna and really digging deep and really mourning, we had pictures of ourselves as little girls, and you had to have that picture out, during different exercises. And then Kelly also brought us through meditation, hypnosis, and it was intense.
Yeah.
You're talking to that little girl and you're like,
yeah, I do. That's one of my specialties is the a guided inner child meditation and hypnosis. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I bet you it is the most intense out of all of them. That's where you see the most healing occur, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's so gratifying to see such amazing, beautiful souls transform.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
so beautiful.
And I feel like when you do that work and you shed all of that heartache and that pain, you shed things that are coping mechanisms, like the weight, right? The weight came off for you, the weight came off for me after that.
Yeah.
And I just felt physically lighter, and I wanted to be lighter.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to wall myself. I almost feel like I gained so much weight to kind of put a
shield. Yeah. Protect ourselves.
That's right.
There's a quote, I forget which yogi said this, but you get a thorn in your wrist, this analogy. You get a thorn in your wrist and you're too scared to pull it out. You don't want to feel the pain. So you put a cushion on it. And then, you rub up against it. You put another cushion on it. And then, you want to be in contact with somebody. So you wrap it up now with more. And then, 5 years later of living, protecting this little thorn that if you just pulled it out, and felt the pain for that 10 seconds,
That's right.
you would have had 5 years left back in your life. And
That's
that's with
right.
everything. Everything is temporary. Pain, trauma, everything is temporary. Us. So if we let go of that, know that everything is temporary.
Everything is temporary.
Yeah, that and not have attachments to everything, and be able to feel the feelings and then let them go.
That's right.
We would all be in such a beautiful place,
And not so divided and not looking to hurt each other and cancel each other and shame each other.
Yeah.
I look on social media and the things that people say to each other, I just can't get my head around it. We have become just so cruel to one another.
Yeah.
You think bullying was left to the kids in the schoolyard, but it's not. There's a lot of these adults that are doing it, and it's just everywhere on the news.
Yeah. Because that's what we've all been taught.
That's right.
That's
right.
We've been taught.
And that's what I think. That's really what we need to change. And I mean, if you look at it in the most extreme degree, right? I know people are going to be very upset with me when I say this, but my heart breaks, and don't get mad at me, but the young gentleman who, the Uvalde situation, the Uvalde school shooter, like, we failed him too.
Yeah.
Children, and we failed him.
I completely agree, because we all have had trauma, every single one of us. And if instead of shaming this person for being ill, because obviously they are, to be able to do something like this,
something so horrible.
Yeah. Instead of helping these people, we shame them and bully them. And that's, it starts from the home. It starts from the home. And we can't blame anybody else but ourselves. When we start becoming kinder to every single person, us first, we have to be kind to ourselves first. I say it all the time. When you heal yourself and love yourself unconditionally, it just overflows to everybody else.
Hence the ripple connection.
The ripple connection.
Ripple.
But it's so true, because if we heal ourselves and we heal our traumas, it heals everybody else.
It's funny you say that. When I was in couples therapy, right? When I did couples therapy, I'd have the couples come in and they'd be like, and blaming the other person and yelling at the other person, and the fingers are going back and forth, and they did this and they did this.
Right.
And, I think when it comes down to it, it's, you have to take responsibility for.
Yes.
And I would tell people, well, he's never going to change, right? They would say to me, like the wife would say about the husband, he's never going to change. I said, so what? Guess what? If you change your dynamic with him, you change yourself, right?
Yeah.
The interaction has to change.
Yeah. It
has to get better. If you come into this from a different frame of mind, in a more positive way, in a more loving, meaningful way, if you are more patient, whatever it is, and you work on it, the relationship dynamic is interrupted. It can't continue that way. So it has to improve. It just has to.
Yeah.
It's not being, all the negative stuff's not being reinforced. And when you take your responsibility in the couplehood, right? We often, we blame the other person for all our problems.
Yeah.
Because we wanted that person to fix all our problems. That'll never happen.
No. We gotta fix ourselves.
That's it. We put so much of a burden on other people to fill all those holes inside of us.
That's right.
eventually it corrodes the relationship, and eventually you're left empty, and eventually you're onto somebody else. And the next person is going to continually let you down until you realize that there's nothing external to you
That's right.
that's going to fill that hole in you. It's all here.
Yeah.
It's all inside of you. And it's all about you loving and forgiving yourself. And it's about showing yourself kindness. And it's about embracing all the ugly parts too. Because the shadowy parts of ourselves, that's what they call them, right? Those were necessary. We had to do things, maybe to survive, or, coping mechanisms, whatever it is, just embrace it as part of you and what makes you authentic.
Yes.
Oh, Donna, we love you so much.
We're getting so much love. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, these conversations are so necessary. We love you guys. We'll pay you later for all these comments. We love you. We love you. We love you. Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing when you realize that you are the one who changes the world.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all inside of you. It really is. Do you know that gratitude, they did a study on gratitude, and it's just as effective as Prozac?
Yes.
Can you imagine?
I believe it.
I mean, just all you have to do is wake up and say
And
three
then
things you're grateful for. Choose joy. That's my word for this year, is joy. It's everywhere. I just got it on my license plate.
That's so
My
funny.
license plate is joy now. Joy 33.
It's so true, though. Yeah, because it's a choice. You could sit in your misery, and you can, go through the story over and over in your mind, or you can feel the pain, heal the pain, and let it go.
That's right.
Who doesn't want to feel happy? Picture yourself with a puppy, and how happy it makes you feel. Don't you want to feel that way all the time?
That's right.
You can. You can.
And that's joy, right? I think
Yeah.
we're talking about Michael Zinn about this, right? That there's a happiness conundrum that we have to be careful with, right? Happiness is an emotion, right? We feel happy, we feel sad, we feel angry. You can never be happy 100% of the time because it's an emotion. We are human. We have a myriad of emotions, and it's important that we acknowledge them and honor them. You have to feel sad sometimes.
Of course.
You have to feel angry sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to feel all of these things. And you feel happy at times too. But it's joy, like you said. That's the thing you could have always underneath. That's the river that can be flowing through you all the time. So no matter what emotion you're feeling, you can always be grounded in joy.
Yeah.
And when you are grounded in joy, you're always open to love. When you're grounded in joy, you don't shut out others and experiences.
Love is all we need.
That's it.
That's it.
It's the most important thing in the world. When you're, I always say this to my kids, when you're reflecting back, when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back on you, and this is so cliche, but it is the God's honest truth. You're not thinking about, ooh, I had this big, beautiful house, or
right.
Yeah. I had this great pocketbook, I had, this great Porsche, whatever it is, whatever makes you hum materialistically. Right. You're not going to be looking back on that. You're going to be looking back on your relationships.
Right.
Right? And how you existed in those relationships. And that's the thing that allows you to go to the next realm, right? In a very peaceful, unafraid way.
Yeah. So when you feel your inner child, your inner peace, you can let go. And, your soul transitions, right?
And it allows you to have deep, loving, meaningful relationships. So when you do look back, you look back with grace and love and kindness and thankfulness.
Yeah.
that you were able to have those connections. And there's a piece to that, I think. And if you can allow yourself to have that, give yourself that gift, that grace. There's nothing, I think, more important than that at the end.
It's so
If you have
true. But not even just the end. Now you can
now,
live that way now,
that's right.
right?
That's right. Because that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It really is.
I love that. So tell us about the book, because we're almost an hour already.
Wow. So the book, basically, like I said, it is about all these different miracles that happen in my life. It's about surviving like a really difficult childhood. It's about getting to the point of which I spoke for the first time just recently on Mike's podcast about attempting suicide. I got to the point when I think I was 31. So 25 years ago, I was at that point where I couldn't take the pain anymore and I wanted to end my life. And it's about overcoming that. It's about overcoming the most incredible adversities and finding peace. But yet each chapter is about a divine intervention that helped me stay here and help me survive some really crazy things, and my guides and my father and all these things that happened that were really beyond miraculous, and moments of incredible intuition too that taught me so much about honoring that, right? Honoring that intuition, like things that happened throughout my childhood that I was like, wow, I do have this antenna and I do have this knowing, and respecting that too. So that's basically the book. It is a memoir, so it goes up until the present moment, but it's really to give people hope, right? That I can tell you this: when you get to that point where you feel like you can't go on another day and you do want to take your own life, I promise you, if you just give one more sunset, one more sunrise, you will feel different. You just have to hold on and believe, and forgive yourself for whatever it is that's going on, and embrace that inner child, heal that inner child. And I don't know, I feel very blessed and very lucky that I've had so much, around me, like so many people that were earth angels that saved me in many different ways. And I think the book is really just about not giving up and tuning into your intuition.
Yeah. Trusting. Yeah.
And trusting the universe, handing it over to the universe, right? And
Yeah.
saying, look, guide me, universe, God, whoever it is that you believe in with source, but handing it over to them and really getting on your knees. Like, when you're
asking.
you're on your knees.
And asking, ask, believe, and receive, right?
That's right. That's right. And restoring whatever connections you have to people, because it's a very lonely place when you get to that point. So reaching out to people, and that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way, because I had such a tough childhood, and I was really kind of raising myself and then raising my little sister. I had a very hard time allowing people to help me, never feeling good enough to deserve help, and not having the capacity to really ask for it in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And I really learned the hard way. Learned the hard way. And I'll share this one quote. When I was in the hospital and I was in rehab, I was put with another social worker, which was exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And she would hear me on the phone pushing people away. Like, I'm fine. It's day 28 in the hospital. I'm fine. I got this, Sure I do. I can't even walk. I'm in a wheelchair.
Right.
She was like, when she heard me, and she said, Lynn, can you stop pushing people away? She's like, letting people help you is letting people love you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And you're worthy. You're worthy of that love. And that's another thing that we need to learn. Laura just asked the name of your book and where can you buy it?
Laura, I have three or four more chapters to write. I'm almost done. It has been a labor of love and very hard. You know, I mean, 4 years now I've been writing it, and really painful stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to the end. Me and my coach, we're almost done. She's been pushing me because some days I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I have to talk about the most painful things, but it will be done. I'm hoping to have it published by January. That is the goal.
Beautiful. And writing.
And the name of it, I'm sorry, she asked the name, An Intuit's Life of Miraculous Coincidences. But when it gets published,
yeah, we'll put it. I'll put it out there. And writing stuff down and journaling is so therapeutic for every single person. So even if you're not going to publish a book, write it down.
Write it down. It's so cathartic. It really is. And it actually helps you kind of
heal
and get your thoughts out in a meaningful way. Like our brain gets so overloaded when we're so sad or depressed or angry that we can't even think straight. So writing, I feel like, allows you to kind of purge it out, but in a way that kind of it makes sense. You can make sense of everything.
Right. And write it 20 times if you have to.
That's right.
You know, just get it out there. Get it out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a book inside of them.
Yes.
Everyone has a book inside of them.
Yes. I agree.
You have a book. Well, you've had multiple books. How many books have you written?
I have 3.
Love it.
But I have one. They're all children's books, but I actually wrote one about my journey when I was 25. I wrote it.
Wow.
But I was not in the same space that I am now. So I think I will be rewriting it. But I'm like so not attached to that life anymore that, you know, I'm not that person anymore. So I don't even know if I even want to write it, you know, because it's not me.
It's not you.
Yeah.
And it's then don't even bother.
Yeah, the story is done. I've got a new story now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And an amazing story. And like I said, you just uplift and you just, I don't know, you have a light inside of you that's just so bright. It really is. And you do this, I know, like there's no ego attachment for you doing this at all.
It's about you and everybody else. You know, I just love each and every one of you. And we are all healers. We all are teachers. We are all students. And I believe, you know, your story helps plenty of people.
That's right.
You know, and just you saying it out loud may encourage somebody else to say their story out loud too.
That's right.
You know, saying it out loud heals.
It heals it. You know, and as a therapist, we're often, you know, made to feel like we're not allowed to be anything but perfect, right? Emotionally.
Right.
And that's not the case. I mean, most good therapists I know have been through it. They've been through it. You know, and it's not, I don't want to be ashamed anymore of what happened to me in the past and the situation and the things that I went through. I am not carrying that around anymore. I did for so long. Nobody knew about that situation that I just told you about. Really, maybe 3 people in my life knew about it. But I'm like, I can't hold this in anymore.
You have to speak your truth.
You have to speak your truth. And the mental health crisis that we're going through right now, you know, I'm always like, oh, you know, the mental health stigma. But I was part of the stigma because I wasn't being honest with my journey.
Right.
Like, how do I even say that, you know, we have to do something about the shame and the stigma of mental health issues when I wasn't disclosing my own journey and my own history and the things that I went through. So I'm owning it now. I'm owning it now.
I'm so proud of you, love.
Thank you.
Same with me. I, was abused by 6 different people, and I was ashamed. I never said it out loud. No one knew that it was happening to me, while it was happening, because I was ashamed that I was allowing this to
That's right.
repeat,
That's right.
And then when I finally was able to heal, it was when I was able to tell my truth and say it out loud and not hide who I am. And being my authentic, I shaved my head. I was like, I am not that girl anymore.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's so
I am
beautiful.
so proud of you. So proud of you for speaking your truth. And at any age, we can change our life.
We can change our life, Sunshine, and it's a lifelong process, right?
Yeah.
Healing and evolving.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing it until you take your last breath, because you always want to be evolving. And there's a million things we need to heal inside of ourselves, and helping others heal too, right?
Yeah.
Because we wound others too.
Yeah.
So, taking responsibility for that too and helping others. And it is a lifelong process.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
And there's one other thing that's really important. In the spiritual community, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be this pure spiritual being. Oh, I can't believe I got so mad at that person. Like, how am I like a spiritual guide for people? How am I like this person that's trying to be like shaman? Like, if I have this emotion at Phooey, I mean, honestly, you're human. That's it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have emotions. You're gonna have foibles. You're gonna make mistakes. It doesn't mean you're less pure or your intention is less pure. Let's say, we're so
human.
hard on ourselves,
Yeah,
especially in the spiritual community. I see it.
We're human, and it's just such but that's again a stigma, that we put ourselves in.
That's right.
Just be yourself, and you're not going to care what everybody else says.
Who cares? Who cares?
Who cares?
I don't care anymore. You don't like me.
I send you love, but that's
right. I'm not for everybody. You're not for everybody.
Yeah.
Aww.
You're so welcome, Curtis.
You're welcome, Curtis.
Donna, who cares?
Who cares? Oh, she's a queen of who cares. Love her. God, I just look at her like on social media, like in her bathing suits and her body, and I'm like, zero fucks.
It's so true, though. It's so true, because that's society. People think, in the spiritual world, I don't know what they think of me. I just surround myself with the ones that love me.
That's right.
Huh?
That's it. The ones that you resonate with.
That's it. Yeah.
Listen, this is what I've realized, right? When people judge you, it's just projection.
Yeah, it's something that they're not healed with themselves. That's okay. And that's what I do. I send everybody love, even if they're, speaking unkindly. I send them love. I'm the freaking Care Bear, I have the rainbow shooting from my heart, and transmuting it all into love. And I walk away and I don't think of it again, because it's none of my business. It's their work. It's their work. Yeah.
And if somebody brings up stuff in you, right, and you want to like gossip, or not you, I'm saying, but just in general, like if there's things about people that irk you, I can guarantee you it's because it's something in you that you need to look at, and you probably need to work on yourself, right?
It's so true. It's so true. Everything's a reflection. Everybody is a reflection of you. Everybody who you come across, it's a lesson too.
It's a lesson.
It's a lesson.
But I love he talks about an untethered soul, right? About making those deep connections, even if it's just someone at a grocery store.
Yes.
Just make the deeper connections. Just slow down. Tell somebody they look beautiful. Give a
Yes.
compliment.
Yes.
Just stop and pause a moment and make eye contact and just connect more. We need to connect more.
We definitely do. We definitely do. Yay.
Thank you.
So, is there anything that you want to say out loud? Does anybody have any questions for lovely Lynn? What do you think, love?
For me, again, grateful for Donna. I'm grateful for still being able to do the work and grateful for having the courage now to say I'm still doing the work and not giving a hoot about what anybody really thinks of me, and honoring my journey, so honor your journey here and brag about the way you got here.
Yeah.
In the world, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever got you here, it was necessary, and it's part of. I'm grateful for you, Donna. Our journey. I'm sorry, someone's writing something. I hear them, here, ladies, guys. Life cares. Good girl. Yes, she's writing a book too.
Yes.
Aww. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Yeah, just be you, man.
Be you. Yes. I love it. I love it. All right, I'm gonna put you in the back, and then I'll talk to you for a minute. And thank you so much for coming on, love.
Thank you so much. This was so great. Thank you.
Sharing your story, your truth, your love. I love it. I love it. I'll see you in a few. Love you. Thank you, everybody who came on and shared this experience with us. You guys are amazing. I love each and every one of you. And remember, you are the most important person in the whole entire world. Love you. May we all be happy, healthy, wealthy, and free.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Feel the right in the world of that for sure.